Hello and welcome to the Get channel. Today we are going to discuss about transaction concept. Now this is the concept we are going to discuss after the completion of the normal forms. So I recommend you to watch my previous lectures before watching this lecture. Now what is a transaction? Transaction is simply you are using phone pay, Paytm, PayPal. These are all things. There you are doing transaction. Suppose A wants to send a money of 500 to B and B wants to send a money of 1000 to A. These are all transactions you see in your daily life. The same transaction we are discussing here. So what is a transaction? Transaction is a part of program execution. The code is already written that it can access and update various data items. Like the money is a data item, you can take it like that. You take an example here, a transaction of 100 rupees from account P to account Q. So P is a person, Q is another person. First P reads the money in his account and he then cancels some 100 rupees from his account. The same money will transfer to his account. After that he executes the program. Then the money transferred, so he executes this program. So take a note of this one and we are going to discuss about next things now. Look here carefully. In my previous example, I have used some terminology like read, write. So what is read? Read means to access the data items. For example, A uses his account number and to read his values of the account means to read the money present in his account. That is read. Read means to access the data item means let us say account A has some 2500 rupees. This is read. Then what is write? Write means to update the data item. For example, the account A has 2500 rupees. He cancelled some 500 rupees for his own needs. So this value becomes 2000. This is the updating of the value. This is right. Now commit means the changes that you have made in the database is saved in the database. Means if any other transaction happens, that values cannot be changed. That is called committing of the database. Now note it down. These are very important and we use this in our next coming examples also. Look here very carefully. Every transaction of a database should follow these properties. The properties are as if properties. A stands for atomicity, C stands for consistency, I stands for isolation, D stands for durability. What is atomicity, consistency, isolation, durability? We are going to discuss it now. First note it down. We are going to discuss about atomicity property now. What is atomicity? If atomicity is a property of a transaction, that tells us if a transaction should execute, either it should execute completely or it should not execute at all. Now look at this example. If A sends 1000 rupees to B, either 1000 rupees should go to B or else transaction should fail completely. But this should not be the case that 1000 rupees was cancelled from A but it has not gone to B. Means that is an incomplete transaction, that is not atomicity. So if any transaction failure happens, that 1000 rupees should come back to A. So this is the case. If transaction failure occurs, it should return to original state. So what can be the reasons of transaction failure? It can be network error or it can be data error or it can be some hardware crash like that. So note it down. Now we are discussing about consistency. Consistency of a database. What is a consistency? Now take a look at this example. I have taken this example previously. A and B are there. Now first A has read the value of his account money from this transaction. Then B has read the value of money from his transaction. Both are having 5000 rupees. So initial money was 5,000 plus 5,000, that is 10,000 rupees. If you combine the both accounts, the consistency of the database, we should check it now. After the execution of this step, A has cancelled some 1,000 rupees, means A has withdrawn some 1,000 rupees and given it to B. This is the transaction. And they have written that, B have written that. After writing, the value becomes 4,000 here, you can look at it. The value of account money in B, it becomes 6,000. Now if you check it, the final, it becomes 4,000, this is in A, plus 6,000, this is in B. The combination becomes 10,000 rupees overall. So the initial state and final state of the database are same. So we can say that the database is consistent after the execution of both transactions A and B. This is consistency of the database. Let us say if these two values are different, if after the transactions A, B, if two values are different, then that means these two transactions led to the inconsistency of the database. So our transactions should follow consistency of the database. This is the overall motto. Note this down. Now let us understand what is the isolation property of a transaction. Isolation, the name itself says that if a multiple transactions are happening in database, each and every transaction should act independently, should act individually, should perform individually. Should perform individually. It should not depend on other transactions for its output. Look at this. When more than one transaction is occurring on the database, each transaction should execute individually, irrespective of the dependency on other transactions. You take a look at this example. In our daily life, many people use the phone pay at the very same time. But if a user was using the phone pay, the user interface is shown for his purpose only. Many other transactions are not shown to the user because that information is not required for the user, and his transaction should be independent. So that's what he wanted. If multiple users use Paytm at the same time, but the dependency among transactions is not visible to individual users of this Paytm, like this. You take a note of this example. This is very important example. Take a look at here. We are discussing about durability now. So durability is one of the property of ACID properties. Durability is very much important property of a database. Let us say you saved all of your information in a database. Let us say the database has crashed because of some network problems or some hardware issues. Then if you want to recover that information, you can able to recover that information. This is durability. If any changes are made on the database, it must stay for a long period of time. Even some crashes happen over the database. If you recover that database, you can able to recover that your previous information also. You look at here, if the database is crashed, it should recover the previous information of the database after recovery. So this is durability. Note it down. So this is all about ACID properties. Now in our next lecture, we are going to discuss about serial schedules, parallel schedules, and what is concurrent schedules. If you understand that concepts, then we can get questions over that concepts. Thank you for watching this lecture.